So listen, you need an email list. You need an email list to succeed with your online business. And odds are there is one thing that is holding you back from growing that list. Like one thing, okay? Just one thing. And I just realized that it looks like you are standing on a platform the way that your camera is angled, the way that mine is. So let's do this. I'm like looking at the feed and going, one of us, I mean, Robbie is taller than me. So, wow.
That back. There we go.
I just got this cryptic text message that is so funny. Anyway, that just says, what happened? And it's from somebody I don't know. Like, I don't know. You texted me. Anyway, so this is what you deal with when I'm doing Facebook Lives on my computer, is just watching like it's total entrepreneurial ADD, guys. So listen, if you are just kind of like coming into my world, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Matt McWilliams, and I've been publishing online for like 16, 17 years now. About all things internet marketing and helping people like you to grow your small business, your online business. And one of the ways that you want to do that is through an email list. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the one thing that is holding you back from growing your email list. So as I've sort of introduced there without saying his name, I'm joined today by Robbie Miles, not the normal Mark Sieverkrop, but you've seen a lot more Robbie lately. So Robbie, say hi to all the people in Facebook land.
Hi, people of Facebook land. I'm Robbie Miles, not Mark Sieverkrop.
That should be your Twitter username, not Mark Sieverkrop.
I'm going to make that now.
Like one of my favorite people to follow on Twitter is not Kenny Rogers. I mean, he's just got some of the greatest, and he's not Kenny Rogers, but he did once see Larry Bird at a Pizza Hut in his bio. But he has some of the greatest tweets. I followed Dave Ramsey, and Dave like retweeted him like 4 years ago. That's how I kind of came into his sphere. So let us know real quick in the comments where you are joining us from. We always like to know those things. Also, ask a lot of questions today. If you have questions, make sure you ask them, because we want to hear from you. You know, we want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what you want to know, and we want to answer those questions. Also, please share this. If you know somebody right now who needs help growing their email list, share this with them. You know, they probably need this information. You know, odds are that they need this information. So share this with them, and start a watch party, whatever. Also, we do Facebook Lives a lot. We've actually kind of taken a little bit, I wouldn't say a hiatus, but we've taken a little bit of a break from doing them regularly. But if you want to get updates on when we're doing Facebook Lives, just go to mattmcwilliams.com/FB chat. That'll take you to Facebook Messenger, and you can, connect with us on there. So for those of you who've followed me for a while, I did and listened to our podcast, The Affiliate Guy. And if you don't listen to The Affiliate Guy podcast, you totally should, because it's amazing. It's the best podcast in the history of the world. I could not say that and keep a straight face.
I couldn't listen to that and keep a straight face. But the podcast I do listen to.
Do you really?
I do.
Do you actually listen to my podcast? I don't know why I find that to be like utterly shocking, but
I have to learn what you're thinking.
It is good. We were joking, that you're not Mark Sieverkrop. But Mark joked like he doesn't listen to the podcast anymore because it really is hard for him at this point to hear new stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, and to your point, you do listen in part because it is good for you to kind of get an idea of what, what the heck I'm thinking these days. But I did this episode that came out Tuesday. Let me actually find the title, because we went back and forth on the title, and I don't know what we landed on. Do you really need, I have to look up my own podcast here. Do you really need an email list? I promise you, I'm the one who recorded it. If you listen to it, it's not Robbie using like one of those voice synthesizers. And it's such a hard word. I was like 17 before I could say walrus. So anyway, do you really need an email list to succeed in affiliate marketing? And the alternate title was, if I'm not mistaken, the alternate title was 5 reasons you need an email list. And I share 5 reasons why. I'm trying to pull it up here. Yep, that was it. 5 reasons why you need an email list. And I share, 5 reasons why you need an email list. And I talk about how, you don't need an email list to succeed in affiliate marketing. And then I go into those 5 reasons and I talk about, that you get a deeper connection with your audience, that you own the connection, that you're guaranteed to be seen. I'm actually trying to remember what was the third one. Segmenting, of course, you can segment your lists, like unlike social media where you're hitting all your followers, right? You can segment on email. And then fourth, that you can opt out of specific campaigns. You can have your audience can opt out of specific campaigns. And so I go into detail in those in the podcast. I don't want to, dive too deep into those, but again, I share 5 reasons why you need an email list. And I say in that podcast that I made over $100,000, gosh, a little bit more than that, actually, like $110,000, $120,000 from affiliate marketing alone with an email list of a few hundred. So is it possible to succeed? And I make it very clear in the episode. Absolutely. But I hit my ceiling.
I was going to say, Matt, how much would you have made had you had a bigger email list at that time?
More.
It's hard to even think of what the numbers are because they're ridiculously higher. Like, what's the difference between a social media subscriber and an email subscriber?
So again, the entrepreneurial ADD in me just kicked in. Gosh, it's so bad these days. Coffee hasn't kicked in yet, but no, I was distracted by my new phone. I'm embarrassed to admit that. Okay, so when we first started studying this, so in 2016, we got the stats for 2015. Mm-hmm. And if I remember correctly, it was about 118th, may have been like 116th, 120th, something like that. I specifically remember 2017's number. It was 132nd. So from 2015 to 2017, just 2 years, the value of a social media subscriber basically had been cut by anywhere from 50 to 100%. Like it had been cut by a quarter to a half. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is like a dramatic drop in value for a social media subscriber compared to an email subscriber, social media follower. And so we would tell people that 132nd. And of course, what that means is you need 32,000 social media followers for every 1,000 email subscribers. Mm-hmm. That number in 2019 was 150th. For those of you who want to be specific, it was 149.6. 140, one part out of, or 10 parts out of 496. So we just rounded up to 150th. What that means is to equal 2,000 email subscribers, you need 100,000 social media followers.
And which one's easier to get?
It's actually,
and not buy.
It's a lit. Which one's easier to get? It's getting harder to get social media followers, but it's about a wash. It really is about even. I will tell you that, like, when I look at top internet marketers, I know top internet marketers that have 20,000 people social media followers, and they've got a 200,000 person list. So it's like, well, 10 times. I know people who are the exact opposite. I know people who are successful with their social media followers. They buck the trend, and for them, a social media follower is worth 1/10 as much as an email subscriber. So they have 300,000 followers on, Instagram and, Facebook combined, and only 50,000, subscribers on email. And it's about 50-50, in terms of income. If you look at the masses though, again, if you take out the extreme outliers, most of the successful internet marketers have a little bit more. They have a few more email subscribers than social media followers. It's not a dramatic difference, but again, if they have 100,000, email subscribers and 100,000 Facebook followers, they're making 50 times more from that email list.
So what's holding people back from growing their email list then?
Well, I'm going to share something today, actually. This softball there, and I promise I didn't know you planned these questions. That was a softball. I really didn't. We didn't really talk about this before.
Yeah, I didn't put those in.
Yeah, what's holding people back? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to share something at the end that'll kind of get you guys into the right place from a tactical standpoint. But really, a lot of it's up here. It's up here. It's the number one reason why people never grow their email list. And it's probably the reason, for those of you watching, it's probably the reason why you're not growing your list. This is what we found over and over again when we survey, we've surveyed literally, I haven't looked at the Google form in about 3 months. I'll just go with 2,000. It's more than 2,000. I don't know if we've hit 3,000, 4,000, whatever, but we've surveyed people and kind of asked them, what's the number one thing that is holding you back, from growing your email list? And we hear kind of some outlying answers. We hear technology, that's one. Technology is probably 5-10% of the people. 5 to 10% say some derivative of, I just don't know how, I just really don't know how. We get another 5-10% that say something along the lines of, time. I just don't have time. And if you add those up, it equals 20, basically all the other reasons equal about 24%, if I'm not mistaken. The number one reason by far, blowing away every other statistic, right? The number one thing holding people back in their online business, not to be able to grow their email list. And the number one thing holding them back from doing that, just fear of asking. I don't know how to ask. I just don't know how to, how do I ask people to subscribe to my email list? And so when you're starting out growing your email list, you're not doing the things that, that people are doing when you get to a certain level. Today it's really easy for me to get on podcasts, for example. I get enough people reaching out to me to be on their podcast. But when I do reach out to people to be on their podcast, it's really easy to say, hey, I was on Pat Flynn's show, John Lee Dumas's show. I've worked with, Michael Hyatt and, Lewis Howes and Kevin Harrington, Brian Tracy, have me on your show. And they're like, yes, please. I'm not bragging. I'm saying that's not how it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I had to beg and plead to get on people's podcasts. The acceptance rate, the yes rate was probably 1 in 25. Now it's 1 in 2. And the other 1 out of the 2, basically, I can't remember last time somebody told me no. Usually it's just they don't reply.
Right.
And so when you're starting out, you have to do the things that people at my level aren't doing. And so, but all these are all things I did. I'm not teaching these things like, well, I never did these. No, I did every single one of these. And so I'm going to walk you through a little bit of that process, but just so you understand, when you're first starting out, it's a lot of what, I call hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
It's, you're not actually hurting anybody, but it's a lot of hey, do you want to be on my list? Hi, friend. Hi, person I used to work with. Hi, person I go to church with. Hi, person from my synagogue. Hi, person that, I've been Facebook friends with for 3 years. Individual messages and saying, do you want to be on my email list? I've got this. Were you interested? And it's tedious. Robbie, I shared this a few weeks ago talking about how to find affiliates. I wish there was a system for finding affiliates. If there was, I would sell it. Now, we do actually have a system. But part of that system is you got to understand that it's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
Find affiliates and get them to say yes and nurture that relationship. And then not only just get them to say yes, yes, I'll promote you, but say, yes, I'm going to send 5 emails in the first week and 4 emails, on cart close day. And I'm going to treat this like my own launch. It takes a certain level of skill, and that takes a certain level of just, sweat equity, quite frankly. It takes a lot of hard work.
Well, I remember when I was first growing my list back in 2014, 2015, my first 100 subscribers was 1,000 times harder than the next 100 and the next 100 and the next 100. It gets easier and easier as you go, but that first 100, you've got to hit the pavement. And I messaged, I emailed people and said, hey, I'm starting this thing. Do you want this? Is this something you're interested in? And a lot of people said no. And I was like, oh, okay. But a lot of people said yes.
Yep.
And it was 3 days of backbreaking work. But still,
like me, Robbie, I don't know about you, but if you're anything like me, sitting there copying and pasting, 100 text messages is mind numbing.
Absolutely.
I think I was telling you yesterday. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling you because I was doing something like that, and it was something that only I can do. A lot of this stuff, a VA can do, but this particular thing that I was doing, because it was in my personal Facebook account, I had to be the one to do it. I'm not giving my personal Facebook account to anybody because I'm deathly terrified if my VA has it, not of him discovering something. I don't even care about that crap. He has access to everything. I'm deathly afraid that Facebook's going to ban my account. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot tied to that account. It's worth a lot of money. So I don't want to give him, I don't want to have him logging into my account. And so I'm sitting there sending these Facebook messages, just one after the other, going, oh my goodness, I am so bored right now. Like, I was trying to I tried comedy albums. So I sent like 80 messages while listening to Jim Gaffigan. Finally, I was like, no, I need to laugh more often. So I played some Mitch Hedberg. After that, I was like, nope, I'm in a country music mood. I mean, I went through like 8 moods. It was like 2 comedy, 2 comedians. I went on a 15-minute country music kick. Then I decided I needed something more uplifting. Then I needed kind of like my mind-numbing focus music. But you know what? That's what it takes. That's sometimes you got to just do those things. Anybody who says you don't, like anybody who says you never have to do stuff like that is selling you a bill of goods. You got to be honest. Like that's called a lie. It really is. That's called a lie. So this fear of asking, like the visual I always use is, in fact, if we shared this in one of our No Product, No Problem workshop videos a couple of years ago. There's this like clip of this guy, and I'll never forget because I was the one who edited this video. This was a while ago, and I remember he comes, he's like, "Hey, Ann," I still remember her name. He's like, "Do you hey you want to go out sometime, like with me? Like, do you want to maybe I don't know, like whatever, if you want to, it's cool. I don't know if you eat food or not, but if you're going to eat food, maybe you should do it with me." Right. And so we notice this, like we notice that there's a mental difference in the way people operate. Like there's a physical difference when I do these moves here and go like that, you can tell that, you can tell that fear comes across, right? You hear the uhs, and you hear the ums, and you hear the like, do you like food? What kind of a stupid question is that? And you like you hear those things, right? I mean, the reality is, like, I kind of was that way. Like, the truth is, if Tara had not been in the same small group at church as my best friend, there's no way I would have asked her out. Like, I was terrified of asking her out. I wanted to. Like, I kind of like fell in love with her. I mean, it really was, for me, it was love at first sight. For her, she was like, I don't remember meeting you. But so we get that, right? Fear comes across when we're in person. Fear comes across in video. Fear comes across, when you hear people. But believe it or not, it comes across in email. And it comes across in the language you choose to try to get people to subscribe when you're on your website. It comes across in the text messages that you send. It comes across in the words that you use. It comes across in the punctuation that you use and the language that you use, whether you're going to make that ask or not, right? And so we all have that negative voice that just says, like, I'm afraid to ask. It's this sense of dread. Like, what if they say no, right? What happens if they say no? And I get it. Like, I really do. Like, I used to struggle with sales. I remember the first sales call I ever made, Robbie. I remember where I was. I was still living with my mom, Hamlet, North Carolina, middle of absolute nowhere. And started this website selling leads to insurance agents. I was the tech guy. Why on God's green earth I was doing sales, other than the fact that my other 2 business partners didn't have time to do it. And I remember the first agent I ever called, picked up the phone, ring, 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 ring. It's like, Joe Smith, insurance agency. Yes, may I speak to Joe, please? Certainly, I'll patch you right over. This is Joe. Hang up. Like, that's what I did, right? I was scared. And so I used to do these sales calls at night because, again, insurance agents typically work during the day. I just assumed they wouldn't answer. So I would call them at night, because then if they called me back, I could be like, Joe, thanks for calling me back. And I was like a totally different person because I wasn't the one reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
And one night I called this guy, Eastern time zone, 9:00 at night. I've perfected the voicemail, by the way. I'll actually tell everybody this. If you ever want to leave a voicemail, it gets a call back. This is how to leave a voicemail, it gets a call back. And this was brilliant. So I got this from Jeffrey Gittimer, and I would call up. I'm going to do it. I still remember the exact script. This is 15 years later. So one of our competitors was Zip Search. Well, I'm not saying this was necessarily the most ethical thing I've ever done in my life, but they posted a list of their agents on their website. Maybe I'm going to call them. You know, I mean, like, if you're dumb enough to post a list of your customers, I'm going to pick up the phone and call them. So you can argue whether or not that's ethical or not. I'm not here to do that. I personally think it was perfectly ethical, you know, but anyway, I pick up the phone. So Joe Smith, right? Get his voicemail, say, hey, Joe, it's Matt McWilliams. 615-892-0765. I'm calling about your Zip Search account. And I just had a few questions for you about, and then actually one tip, I would keep talking. So I would read my script. So, you know, I just had a few questions about like what zip codes you're buying. And I would hang up like in the middle of a sentence. I had like a 97% callback rate. Of those people, I closed about, I closed 99 of the first 100 agents I ever talked to. Long term, I think I closed about 95% of the people that I talked to. So just as a side note, if you ever want a voicemail returned to kind of a cold voicemail, hang up in the middle of it. Like after you say I have a question about, or, you know, I just wanted to talk to you about, click, you know, but you know, it works. So just as a side note. And so anyway,
so how'd you get over this fear of asking? Like,
yeah.
Because there was one time you told me this story where the guy actually picked up.
He picked up, and that's like, I wish. So I have a formula I'm going to share with you guys called the ASK formula. That is the way to get over, you know, this number one thing holding you back, right? Get over this fear. But I didn't have this formula at the time. I kind of like came up with this about 5 or 6 years ago, used it on myself, and then started sharing it publicly, you know, in the past like couple of years. But this guy, like, you know, again, 9:00 at night. And I've got my script down. I'm ready to be like, hey, Joe, it's Matt McWilliams calling about your Zip Search account. Click, you know, boom, boom. And he answers the phone. I go, hey, me. Like I don't know what I was like trying to say, but I like totally panicked. And I think I was like, hey, Joe, it's Matt McWilliams, 615-892. And no. And so, but something happened. He was in a really good mood. He's like, man, nobody calls me at this hour. He's like, anybody who calls me at this hour, it's got to be important. And I'm like, it's because it is. I don't know why I was yelling at him, you know, in this retelling of the story, but it probably was. It wouldn't surprise me. And actually, no, I kind of loosened up, and I was like, and I had this great conversation. I remember I had the office to myself. Nobody else was in the office. I always had the office to myself after about 6:00, you know, in the evening. And had the office to myself, was walking around like all over the place. And I ended up having like this hour and 15-minute call with him. Next thing you know, he gave us $1,000, you know, as an upfront investment. When he asked, the funniest thing was when he was like, so like, what do I do? Like give you $1,000, you know, because our upfront fee at that time was $300. You put in $300, that got you about 30 leads that we would sell you over the course of a month. And then we recharged you. And he's like, what do I do? Did I give you $1,000? I'm like, yeah. And I had to like, he was like, well, send me the contract. I'll sign it right now and get this thing started. And I literally had to go in, and I was like calling the CEO, like, how do I edit the contract? The contract says 300. How do I edit it so that we can charge him $1,000? Because we kind of needed the money. Anyway, so that's how I got over it. Next thing you know, like I said, I closed 99 of the next 100 agents. I still remember the agent that I didn't close was one that I was probably a little confident on about halfway through, because she was just down the road, like, you know, a couple hours from us. And I'm like, oh, she's from Tennessee. This will be easy. And yeah, it was the hardest nut to crack. And I tried for like a month and never got her to sign up until like 2 years later. So anyway, I want to welcome you, Stacy, Vance, and Laura. So I mentioned this thing. There's a simple method I follow called the ASK formula. Now, to be clear, not the ASK method, which that's Ryan Levesque, my friend Ryan, who, by the way, also pointed out recently when we were at a mastermind together. It is the ASK method, ASK with a K, because everybody thinks he is selling the ASK method. And
That's
anyway,
a completely different marketing.
Yeah, totally different niche that I'm not even going to touch. But I have the ask formula, and I don't know historically whether or not I came up with this before Ryan came up with the ask method. It doesn't matter. They're two totally different things. Two totally different things. And I use this formula to this day. So if I'm asking an affiliate to be an affiliate, if I'm asking a friend to do something, if I want to ask somebody to help us move. Actually, if I want to help somebody help us move, I just call them movers. But trying to think of another example. If I'm trying to ask somebody to be like an assistant coach on a soccer team, I go through the ask formula, which stands for A, S, and K, because as Ryan pointed out, that is how you spell ask. Now, before I get into each one of these, let me know in the comments if you're with me. Like, are you guys with me so far? Is this something that you guys fear? Like just asking people for stuff? If not, let me know in the comments, like, what is something that's holding you back, in your opinion that you think is growing or preventing you from growing your email list. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. So the A in ask formula is assume a positive response. We talked about this earlier. The guy who went in that video and asked, hey, Ann, you want to go on a date with me? He knew what the answer was before he even asked. He knew what it was. It showed up in his body language. You watch him, he's got like his hands in his pocket and all that. Like I said, it shows up in the language you use and your confidence level. It even shows up in email. And so assuming a positive response is telling yourself that the person will say yes. You just have to go into it assuming that the person will say yes. I shared on a Facebook Live some number of months ago, probably last summer. Last fall, I shared a visualization exercise where, actually, it's on a YouTube video. Now that I think about it, see, I never know where my content is anymore. If you go to my YouTube channel, just go to theaffiliateguy.tv, click on subscribe to YouTube, and you'll see an exercise that I share about visualization. And I talk about visualizing the person clicking the email to open it. So I'm assuming a positive response to the subject line. I see them reading the email. If there's a joke in the email, I see them laughing. Positive response. What was the response I wanted? I wanted them to laugh. They laughed. I see them clicking on the link in the email. Okay, that's the action I want them to take. I see them going to the sales page. Say it is. I see them reading through. I see them watching the testimonial from Jason and Cecilia Hilke and going, oh my gosh, that is amazing. And being touched and going, I have to have this. I see them clicking the order form. I see them purchasing, right? And so I see all those positive responses. So focus on why they're going to say yes. Don't focus on the reasons why they might say no. So sometimes you just have to convince yourself that they're going to say yes. Now, to be clear, this isn't pseudoscience. I'm not talking about The Secret here. If you see it, it'll just magically show up on your doorstep. Whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not personally, but this is not it. But I know, this doesn't guarantee success, but I know that if you go into it with the wrong mindset, it guarantees failure. And so you have two choices, Robbie. What do you want here? Guaranteed failure or possible success?
I know what I'd go with.
To you.
I'm going to go with the possible success. Every day.
I've got to pull up. I had the Facebook feed going, which is on a 10-second delay. And I'm like, Robbie, I just asked you a question. Why are you not responding with some sort of nonverbal cue? And you're just standing there going, I finally realized it because I got it on the Facebook feed, because you guys are on a 15-second delay, by the way, on Facebook. But I can see Robbie live on Be Live over here. So anyway. So yeah, guaranteed failure, possible success. I'm going to go with possible success
every time.
So, assume the positive response. Assume this is the starting point, right? If you the S and the K are irrelevant if you don't assume that the copy you're about to write, that the lead magnet you're about to create, that the text message you're about to send is going to get a positive response. Does it guarantee success? No. Might you still fail 50% of the time, 95% of the time? Don't know. I guarantee you will have a better success rate assuming a positive response. And so make sure, I mean, that's the starting point. You have to assume a positive response. Now, before we get to the S in the ask formula, I do want to mention something we've got coming up. We're really excited about starting here in just a couple of weeks, actually 13 days from now, 13 days from now. It's called the List Launch Challenge. And this is an annual thing that we do where we help folks who maybe are struggling to grow their email list. Maybe that's you. You're just starting out. Maybe you have 0 subscribers. You have 100 subscribers. Whatever the number of subscribers is. This is a 7-day challenge where we are going to help you explode your email list. So we have helped last year when we did this, we helped people go from 0 to hundreds. We've helped people go from 0 to thousands in a few weeks after the List Launch Challenge. We have helped people go from 250 to 384, I believe was one of the testimonials. So if you're interested in joining the challenge, check out listlaunchchallenge.com, because I can tell you the beauty of this is one of the things I love about challenges is it's very compressed. This isn't like, how do you grow your email list for the long term? No, this is like, you got 0 people in your list, or you've had like 15 people in your list for as long as you can remember, and 14 of them have the same last name as you. Like, how do you get to 100? How do you get to 200 real fast? How do you add hundreds of subscribers in just 7 days? That's what this is all about. So we're going to have 3 lessons in there. We've got a workbook for you. We've got tons of stuff to hold you accountable, some exercises you can do. Like, this isn't just theory and teaching and all that. This is all practical. Like, here's how you do it now. Here's exactly how you grow your email list. So lots of tactical stuff in there. You can check that out at listlaunchchallenge.com. When you sign up to join the List Launch Challenge, you'll get immediate access to the Facebook group and a training that we do that I'll tell you right now, the S and the K here tie in really well with this. It's a free training that we normally charge
$97.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. To get access to. And we're making it available to everyone who joins the List Launch Challenge, included in their registration. So for a fraction of that cost, by the way, it's just $25 to join, by the way, for a 7-day challenge, which is crazy low. You'll get access to our avatar training. So I've been told by a lady in the List Launch Challenge last year, Grace, who teaches Portuguese, I believe. She said this is like the best training I've ever seen on avatars. Like, I think she said something like, I would have paid the price of a full course for this, or something like that. It was something like, it was really cool. So I'm totally bragging on my avatar training because it is amazing. So go check this out, listlaunchchallenge.com. Get signed up today. There is an early bird bonus. You're going to get access to our content and lead magnet bundle that is normally worth, I cannot do the math on 37 times 3
usually, because we'll sell them separately usually, so the price is a little higher on this one.
Well, there you go. So you'll get access to that in the early bird special that will go away here shortly. So make sure you sign up, listlaunchchallenge.com. We're getting started on March 18th. So I'm really excited, bro. I mean, I am like, last year was amazing. You guys can see the testimonials there on listlaunchchallenge.com. Like, they were
and it's fun. Like, beyond building your list and everything else, like, it's actually fun. And I saw that last year in the Facebook group.
Oh my gosh,
everybody was just so excited, and oh my gosh, I did this. My list is
at 11,000 comments.
Yeah, it was ridiculous
during the challenge.
It was only 5 days.
That was only 5 days. We added days this year to make it a little bit easier for people. We added some implementation days, which were really when we did them last year, they were really popular, and so we kind of extended that. We have a weekend in there, so you have a whole weekend implementation. So it's not just like, like, you're going to have time to actually execute on what we're teaching. So check that out, listlaunchchallenge.com, and check out the testimonials, because I'm totally bragging on our team. I knew what we did last year was good. I had no idea it was as good as it was, because I didn't see the testimonials for the most part. I was so busy doing this, actually running the challenge. I didn't get a chance to really, engage in the Facebook group. And I mean, the comments are unbelievable. So check that out. So A was assume a positive response. The S is show them the benefit. So when you're texting someone and saying, hey, join my list, when you're posting a lead magnet, when you are doing a
We'll have Matt back here in just a second. Let me text him. I don't know there he is. Hey, Matt. 3, 2, 1, and then you're back.
Okie
Show
dokie.
us the benefit.
Weird. Yes. Show us the benefit of staying on. Let me change it changed all my settings
too. Okay. Can you hear
Hey,
me?
there you go. Yeah, you're good.
Going through the right mic. Awesome. Sorry about that, guys. That was incredibly weird.
It was really weird because it was right as I clicked the button to display the text on the
Stop
screen.
clicking buttons, Robbie. What did I tell you about button clicking? Let me lower that down. There we go. So anyway, so A was assume a positive response. S is show them the benefit. Show them the benefit. It's like totally turning into Jerry Maguire. And so, the key is here. I think what I was saying was it has to be explicit. It has what is the benefit to them of clicking? What is the benefit to them of getting this lead magnet? What is the benefit and again, that's why I said the avatar training that you get when you sign up with List Launch Challenge is so perfect, because how do you know what the benefit is if you don't what benefit do they need? Mm-hmm. If you don't know your audience, if you don't have an avatar. And so, there's a guy that I was talking to, this is quite some time ago, but he's one of our students. He's actually in List Launch Academy. And he was talking about his lead magnet, and I don't remember what he named it, but he described his audience. They're all 65 and older, and they're getting into online business, and tech is their biggest thing. Their second biggest thing is not getting scammed. They're terrified of pay us $1,000, get trained, work from home, and then you just lose the $1,000, right? And so I said, what about 7, what did I come up with? It was 7 easy online businesses you can run from home that scam free or something was in there somewhere. And they were I can't remember the title, but whatever title we came up with, because we wordsmith, that's the thing, guys. Sometimes you have a flash of brains, you get the title, right? Other times you have to spend hours. I mean, you just have to, Robbie, we went through this recently with an event that we did. Mm-hmm. We spent 45 minutes, and this was 3 of us. So collectively over 2 hours that we spent literally just going, what about this word? And we're going through thesaurus.com, and Mark is reading off synonyms of words. No. Okay. Well, now let's look up synonyms for that word. Okay. What if it was this? And then, finally Robbie had it partially. And then we went, what? No, we need to add this. No. Okay. Now let's thesaurus that. I mean, it was a 45-minute process, guys. Sometimes you have to do that. But when we did it and describe, and then had the subtitle, the benefit was explicit. And your title and your subtitle and your description of things, the message that you're sending to people, whether you're texting them, whether you're recording a podcast, the benefit has to be explicit. Why do they need it? Why do they need it? What is the number one reason? What is this going to do for them? How is it going to make their life better or remove pain? Think of it I said something recently, I think on that podcast episode I mentioned, which you guys, can, Robbie can drop the link to the podcast. It's mattmcwilliams.com/tag the affiliate guy 331. And when I'm talking about lead magnets, I talk about how I was in a mastermind recently, and I don't know this. I wrote this down. It's probably the only time I've ever written down one of my own quotes. I mean, literally, I think it was the first time in my life I've ever done that. I was I said it and went, "Ooh, that's good," and wrote it down. And then I put quotes around it and put dash Matt McWilliams next to it. And it was an odd sound coming from down there. Anyway, I said, we're all in the pain relief business. You think about Advil, Aleve, Tylenol, they're all in the pain relief business. But everyone's in the pain relief business. You're solving a problem. You are addressing a source of pain and discomfort in people's lives, and you're helping them overcome it, whether it be weight loss. That's I know what it's like. I mean, it's an everyday battle, for people in that position. It is painful. Any type of addiction, those are kind of obvious. But what about just my business isn't growing as fast, and I feel like I should be spending more time with my family? I feel like I'm working too much. What about, what about just I'm frustrated with, a team member not named Robbie, no, like, no, just kidding. Like, well, leadership coaching, things like that. We're all in the pain relief business. So think about it, like, think about this lead magnet as a solution to pain. You're solving their pain. And when you send a text to somebody, you're addressing their pain. Hey, I'm starting this website, or hey, I'm starting an email list, where I'm going to send you, tips on how to grow a better garden. Why? Because it's a solution to the pain of not being able to grow. That's the type of things you need to be thinking of. And there are some areas where it's a little bit sensitive. Hey, I'm starting a group for overweight men who want to lose 40 pounds or more. What are you saying?
Yeah. Hi, friend. You definitely fit this. You want to read my newsletter?
Like,
you got to phrase that differently. Hey, I'm starting a newsletter on, how to eat healthier.
Yeah, exactly. And so the S in show them the benefit, what happens is when you show them the explicit benefit, they have that hope of success, that initial hope of success. There's a promise, the promise of hope. I feel like there should be like some music playing right now.
That's Matt's campaign slogan. The promise of hope.
Yeah. The hope of promise, get me with like one of those like silhouette images.
Let's see if I can do that.
Can you? Just kidding. I think there's like a website. I think I Googled it once where you can do like, you can take anybody's face and put it on the Barack Obama 2008 election posters. And it like automatically like makes it look just like theirs. And you can put like other words. You have to look it up. It's like Barack Obama poster generator. It's hilarious. They have that hope, so they keep coming back. And it really does start with that hope, but which the hope comes from knowing, the benefit, which is clear. So assume a positive response, show them the benefit. And then the K is, again, this ties in right with the avatar training that you get when you sign up at listlaunchchallenge.com, is to know them, to know their needs, to know their wants, to know their struggles, to know their pain points. Really, it kind of comes before the S, but ACTS would have been a terrible formula. AKS, it sounds like some sort of military thing, like we're going on a shooting spree. And I was like, no, I can't do that. But you need to know them. You need to know them like better than they know themselves in a way. And this goes beyond like demographics and psychographics, right? You have to know them better than they know themselves. What that really means is know the thing behind the thing. Know the holdup behind the holdup. That's why I said for most people, the number one thing holding them back isn't tech. You can hire tech for less than $50. You can have an email form set up for $10, $20 these days. You can spend time on the phone with the people at ConvertKit or in the chat room, and they'll walk you through step by step. You can do that with Kajabi. You can do that with Lead Pages. You can do that with Lead Pages. Yeah, I won't get into that, but you can do that with a lot of companies. You can Google it. I can't remember the last time, like, guys, I don't even know. I don't know what CSS is. Cascading style sheets is what makes the text certain colors and all that. What I do know how to do is Google CSS for bold text, CSS for underlined text, CSS for background color, and I copy and pasted and change the background color. It's not hard.
Don't give away all us tech guys' secrets.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. We're just good at Googling.
Behind the problem. Yeah. The point is, it's not that you don't know CSS or it's not the tech stuff. That's not the real reason. The reason behind the reason is the fear of asking. That's why I'm talking about the fear of asking. If you can't get past that, the tech part really is the easy part. I don't know the tech. I've very rarely in my life known the tech, but I know how to, it doesn't take more than a few minutes to usually figure the stuff out. And so to know them better than they know themselves, part of what we talk about in the avatar training is my avatar, our avatar, Pete. Now, just to be clear, my audience is almost exactly 50-50 female to male. It was 60-40 5-6 years ago. It's now, I think it's like 51-49 male. So it's an even split. My avatar's name is Pete, though. In retrospect, I probably should have chosen a gender neutral name like Ashton or something, but
Pat.
Pat. Yeah. Pat. Oh, we may have to. Pat. Do you remember that from SNL back in the day? I remember the day I was born, and the doctor said, and everybody gathered around, the doctor said, "Look, it's a baby." And because everybody like leaned in thinking he's Pat's going to say whatever. And then, and then they're like, Pat's a jolly good person, for Pat's a jolly good person. And I love that episode. That one just cracked me up. So where were we going with that? Pete.
Tell us about Pete.
Peter Pat. When we that's our avatar's name. And one of the things that we do like intentionally, because I want to know Pete, is we put Pete's name in all caps anytime we write it. I'm looking at our notes now for this, Facebook Live, and it says, "Explain Pete." Why? Because in this whole page right here on my screen, when I look at this screen, what stands out is the word Pete. When we write email copy and I'm writing it for Pete, I capitalize Pete. It's like a weird subtle cue to me that just says Pete's the most important thing about this, because Pete is the most important thing about this. It's not about what I want out of it. It's not about how I'm feeling that day. It's about what's best for Pete. And so when I go in to record a podcast episode, I'm recording it for Pete. I know Pete, and I know him or her better than he or she knows him or her. That took way too long. I know Pete better
than Pete knows. Or I lost it too.
So another thing you need to know, you need to know yourself really well, and you need to know how you can address their needs. So this is just like knowing your strengths. How can you address their needs? So you have to know them better than they know themselves. You look for the problem behind the problem. Okay, I want to go back to that, because the problem behind the problem is, I'll give you an example. In our Start Mastermind about a year ago, one of the guys, I won't mention his name because what happens in Start stays in Start, other than just general stories. And he was like, man, he's like, my big rock is I need to make my first dollar from affiliate marketing. And I'm like, man, I love that goal, because that's one of our missions, is to help 100,000 people make their first dollar, online. I said, I love it, man. I love that that's your big rock, but it's not your big rock. And I said, the big rock is you actually don't, speaking of avatars, you don't know your audience. So here's what I need you to do. Your big rock for the next month is to schedule 5 interviews, to conduct 5 interviews with prospective clients, people who are they're your avatar, and find out what makes them tick. That was the problem behind the problem. That once he gets those things done and gets the language, and that opens up the floodgates to make the first dollar online. Again, when people say, man, my big struggle is I just, I don't have, my big struggle is I've got an extra 30 pounds. Is it really? Because Dave Barry said it best. I know this now. The formula is pretty simple. Like, here's the original exercise book. It was on a stone slab. It said, eat less, exercise more. What if actually it's a confidence issue? You say you don't have time to do things, but the real thing behind the scenes is, maybe that, maybe there's just too much stress in your life, and there are things you need to do to get the stress out. I don't know what the issues are, necessarily.
But maybe you've never cooked before. Maybe you've never, done more than a walk.
How can I help you from a strategy, a tactical, a mindset standpoint to get past that? Because here, I'll just give you one. Here's a tactical one. Cook a crap ton of food on Sunday, and then just I don't use a microwave, but still, it only takes 5 minutes to reheat stuff on a stovetop. There's a practical way to eat healthy 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's it. Sometimes it's just there's always an issue behind the issue, and so. As far as knowing you have to make an honest self-assessment of how can you help people? How can you address their needs? How can you, what skills do you come with? What talents do you have that allow you, what knowledge do you have, and information? When you make an honest assessment about that, I know I can't help people necessarily. Like I had one strategy. I just shared my entire database of strategies to help you. I've lost 40 some odd pounds in the past few months. That was pretty much it as far as strategies. Otherwise, I just like ate less and exercised more. I mean, like I can't sell that, Now, Alan Thomas, who's in our Start Mastermind and an amazing coach, can help you with the mindset. I mean, he'll blow you away. So if you're interested, by the way, just email me and I'll introduce you to Alan. I mean, he's an amazing coach and he'll help you a ton. But like, you have to make an honest self-assessment. I'm not going to help you. For instance, my skill does not lie in helping you with the techie stuff. My skill does not lie in helping you to run better paid advertisements. My skill set is grow your list, monetize your list, grow your list, affiliate marketing. That's it. And then run an affiliate program, down the road. We're pretty good at that too. We have a program called Your Affiliate Launch Coach. If you're interested, you can also email me about that. And if you want an introduction to Alan Thomas and to know about Your Affiliate Launch Coach, send me 2 separate emails, please. So anyway, long story short is like, make it clear, make it a no-brainer for them. We said this in, kind of at the top of the live, an email address. It is one of the most protected, like intimate possessions that a person has. Mm-hmm. And yet when we follow that ask formula, when people follow that ask formula, we see this, like we protect our email address. And there are things where we go, there's no way in heck I'm giving them my email address. And then there's things where we look at it and go, yep, I'm in. Like, can I give you a blood sample and a fingerprint too? That's what we want. There's something that clicks in our brain. It's that lizard brain is what Seth Godin calls it. Like we go from, I have to protect this email with my life to, yep, I'll give it to you. And what is that? What actually happens? Because they made it a no-brainer. They made it a no-brainer because they know you, because they assumed a positive response. They showed you the benefits and they knew you. Again, technically they knew you and then showed you the benefits, right? They know exactly who you are. They know what motivates you. They know exactly where you're at in life. They know what you need. They know you better than you know yourself sometimes. And so they're able to speak to that emotional side, not just the strategy side, not just the logical side of your brain. And they speak to that emotional side. And what you say when you see these things, that you give your email addresses, they get me. Mm-hmm. That person gets me. And when you get your prospective audience to say, he gets me, she gets me, I mean, that's how you grow your email list. So the A, to overcome the fear of asking, assume a positive response. It all starts with that. I cannot stress enough that if you don't assume a positive response, you have almost 0% chance of success. It's not 100% success if you do, but a 0% chance of success if you don't. The S is show them the benefit. So if you're, in this case, show the benefit for giving their email address. Show the benefit for coming to your Facebook Live, for listening to your podcast. Whatever the call to action is, show them the benefit. And the K is to know who you're talking to, know them, know your audience, and know your strengths. So if you got anything out of this live today, and I really, really hope you did, if you're still watching this and you haven't got anything, that's just weird. And you want more of where that came from, head over to List Launch Challenge and sign up while there's still time. So it's a 7-day challenge. We've got three focused lessons. So Wednesday the 18th, the Friday the 20th, and Tuesday the whatever the heck that is. We've got the 4 implementation days built in. Those were hugely popular last year. Like I said, we offer them. You get the avatar training. You get that immediately. As soon as you sign up, you get access to the avatar training, which is a $97 value. If you sign up now before the early bird deadline, you get access to our content and lead magnet bundle worth $111. So you get 3 of our $37, PDFs that'll, like, we've got, oh gosh, Rob, we've got one that basically has like 70 some odd content ideas, another one that's got some content upgrade stuff, and then one on lead magnets. Like, you will never run out of content or lead magnets, like, as long as you live, when you get this bundle. But it's only available when you sign up here over the next few days, because there is an early bird deadline. So it's only $25 to start, grow, build your email list wherever you're at. if you are at like 25,000 people and above, I got to be honest, List Launch Challenge might still be for you, actually. I will tell you this. I'll tell you this. Last year, when I was putting what would be day 3 this year, day 3 this year, I did a section on viral headlines and how to get. I mean, this like if you watch nothing else, if you watch like just this 20-minute segment of List Launch Challenge, it's worth hundreds of times what you're going to pay. Okay, just to be serious. Yeah. And I remember as I'm delivering it, I don't know why it didn't trigger with me when I was actually writing it out, like making my notes and creating the slides, Robbie. I'm delivering the content and I'm going, I don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore.
How often do we do that where we're like, oh man.
I'm like, what the heck? Like this, I'm literally delivering it going, this is gold. And there's this section where we're going to give you a few minutes to actually write out some viral headlines and then share them. And I can't tell you what we do with those. I'm just going to tell you it's awesome. Like you're going to be blown away with what we do with those. Last year, like people were just flabbergasted. And I came back. So I give them 3 minutes to write the headlines. Ostensibly, it's so that you have 3 minutes to write it. It's also actually, quite frankly, an opportunity for me to go pee. I get a lot of water when I'm speaking for a lengthy period of time. And I've been talking for like an hour and I got to go to the bathroom. And I come back from my bathroom break. And I'm watching these headlines drop in the chat. And I text Mark and I go, I can find the text. I go, actually I type holy freaking crap a lot. So that might be, but I remember exactly where I said, holy freaking crap. And he responded back and goes, I know. These were amazing headlines. Like if people actually use these, some of these are going to go viral. Like these were copywriters' dreams, these headlines, right? And so, and I wrote a note right before I went to the bathroom. I wrote a note that said, like, go through this part to myself because we had not been following some of my own freaking advice. And so the point of that is, even if you have 25,000 people on your list, there's going to be something in this challenge that you're going to get. For you, adding 100 people isn't a big deal, but it might be the thing. That's the beauty of it is somebody at 0 can learn something and it takes them from 0 to 200, which is a heck of a start with your email list, by the way. Going from 200 to 2,000 is about 100 times easier than going from 0 to 200. Going from 2,000 to 20,000 is about 100 times easier than the previous one. Going from 20,000 to 200,000 is about 100 times easier than the previous one. I mean, it really does get infinitely easier. And so you listening with 0, you go to the challenge with 0, you're going to go from 0 to a couple hundred maybe. But if you're already at 25,000, you might go to 50. You might go to, 30 or 35. Like you're going to have explosive growth, percentage wise, a lot smaller, but numbers wise, a lot bigger because you might get that one idea that just, is like rocket fuel. So,
and a lot of it's focusing on the fundamentals. Yep. Like if you watch any athlete, I think you talked about this in the podcast recently too, right? In golf, you always have your fundamentals. Every time you go up to swing or, drive off the tee, fundamentals.
Yeah. I spent, Ricardo Teixeira talks about, he's a world champion in karate. He was like the karate world champion, the best in the world at karate. And he spends a month out of every year just focusing on a one-arm punch. Like, yeah. I think I kind of know, but the difference between like turning your finger there and turning it here is probably like the difference between knocking somebody out and barely making, I don't know, but he spent a month, 1/12 of his entire year. He's the best in the world. Focusing on just the punch, just that. And it, in golf every day. Yeah. I grew up playing golf every day. I worked on alignment, grip, and distance from the ball. Those are my 3 things: alignment, grip, and ball position. That was it. Like the fundamentals that you learn when you're like, I don't know, like 5. I was still working on when I was playing professionally. I was still working on in college for at least, a half hour, a half hour a day. In the winter, when we, I didn't have many of these days, but in the winter where I lived at the time in Knoxville, Tennessee, that we get snow, we couldn't go play. And I would go to our indoor facility and I would literally do nothing but work on like my pre-shot routine, like the thing I'd done 50 to 100,000 times, just getting a little bit better at it, and so it's those fundamentals that are a large part. But we're going to share some strategies like the viral headlines, like how to create a lead magnet. We're going to share some strategies that are definitely a little bit next level, but easy to implement, that you will want to implement. So again, head over to listlaunchchallenge.com right now to start, to grow, to build, take your list to the next level, whatever that next level is. Listlaunchchallenge.com, and we'll see you guys in the challenge. We got a podcast episode coming up next Tuesday about 7 mistakes that I see a lot in people with their email list. Any of these mistakes can absolutely be fatal to an email list. And the converse of that is there are 7 things you must do. And I'm going to share those 7 musts as well. So look for that. And then, Robbie, we have a Facebook Live next Thursday, don't we?
We do.
Do you have any idea what it's about?
I think we're covering the 7 musts.
That is not it.
Isn't that it? We're covering.
I have no idea. Well, anyway, we're doing a Facebook Live next week. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And so
it's going to be so current, so cutting edge.
March 12th. You know what? I'm looking at our content calendar and it's blank. That's so funny. So I think it's in the other calendar. But anyway, guys, we are doing, I swear to you, we are doing a Facebook Live next Thursday that is going to be awesome. Whatever in the heck it's about.
Same Matt time, same Matt channel.
Same Matt channel, yep. So, so there we go. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see you in the challenge. Get signed up, listlaunchchallenge.com. See you guys. Take care. Bye.
See ya.